We're rolling with Dr. K. Dr. K. 100 shades of diversity every day. We're rolling with Dr. K. Oh, Dr. K. 100 shades of diversity every day. Ah, yeah, we're rolling.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I never get tired of it. And I enjoy it every time I hear the uh, the theme music. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're watching via GRTV 25, today is Wednesday, October 30th, and we have exactly 5 days and about 5 hours until we find out who our president of the United States is going to be. There will be a changing of the guard. Oh my goodness. And we're over in Detroit today with top viewer Dr. VerTongie. Yes, y'all put your hands together. You know how they do it, church. Come on, y'all put your blessed hands together. Yes, y'all put your hands together. Yes, yes, yes. How are you today?
I am doing wonderful. Just ready to get this show going.
I'm excited. So, what is the temperature over in Detroit? You guys have had some heavy hitters over there, trying to get Madam Vice President to be. Oh, did I say that out loud like that? Did I say
Yeah,
that?
you said out loud.
Oop, 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 oop. I mean, our Vice President to be Madam Vice President.
Yes.
What's your thoughts about that?
You know what? My thoughts is we need to work hard to ensure that she receives the seat. We need to make sure all our precinct delegates is working. We need to make sure everyone gets out to vote because this election is very important. And as you know, I'm an autism mom and a military mom and a veteran's daughter. So this election is very important. And as an educator, we need to make sure that we not only get Kamala Harris, my soror, elected, we also need to make sure we have the right people in the seat in Congress and in the state as well.
I'm here to tell you, we had a great conversation about that yesterday.
Hmm.
We had Mr. Justice Young, who is the field director for State Representative John Fitzgerald. Oh my gosh, shameless plug again. We're just name dropping around here, but
Yes.
that's how we do. And he was really good about talking about the relationships and making sure that you know who you're voting for and that it's not so much about the party as it is about the issues and what they stand for. Would you agree?
I think I look more at the issues and I look at more at the issues than the party because the issues are very important to me as a mom and as a military mom and as a wife and as an educator. So those issues are very important. So sometimes we need to get out of the party and make sure they have the same concerns that we have as citizens of the United States and that they're going to be taken care of.
What concerns you most about this election?
What concerns me most about this election, one, having a son that's in the military, making sure that he's going to be taken care of and that he is, I could just have concerns about the military right now and making sure that nothing arises, because my son is on active duty. And then the
What
second
branch is
concern, my son is in the Army.
Yay.
He's in the Army Reserve, but they can be called at any time.
Oh yeah.
And then my other son has autism, which is a mental disability. So that really concerns me to make sure those candidates that are elected have policies in place for those adults and young people living with autism and other disabilities because that's very important to make sure they have suitable resources, benefits, and that there's policy changes for the parents.
What policy changes are you looking for as a parent?
As a parent, my son, he's older now, and I have a strong village behind me. But as a mom that's working and an entrepreneur that owns several businesses in the state of Michigan and Atlanta, I'm looking for policies that would give parents time off, like FMLA, to be able to see through their kids and to be able to take that time where needed to make sure resources are provided in the educational system.
See, I like that. I want to say thank you to Renika Davis, who is tuned in. I appreciate you. We've been together a few times here out in the community. So thank you for tuning in. I think that's something very important that you just said is when we have children, you get that FMLA. However, you can get up to 12 weeks, but you don't get paid. I don't know any parent that has a child with a disability that can take the time off without pay for 12 weeks.
Well, I was able to do it because my husband, he told me that I could be a stay-at-home mom to be able to make sure that my children receive what they needed because he had the resources for it. But now I want to return back into the workforce so that I can work and to make a difference in the education world. That makes a difference. But at the time when my son was growing up, he wanted me to be a stay-at-home mom. Then I was fortunate I got a job where my son, when he was coming to school, I was coming to work, and when he was going home, I was leaving work. So that was a very important factor for me as a parent.
However, comma, you have been blessed. How many
But
women or men can say they've had that opportunity? I have a young lady now who was making $60,000 at her job when her son was diagnosed with autism. And it's been maybe about a year. He's 6 years old and he was diagnosed. She had FMLA. However, she's married, but they didn't have it where she could just up and quit her job and be able to stay at home. She's
you know
now,
what? Let me let me say this. It was tight, but we made it work.
and there's the pause. Again, I wasn't inferring that it was all peaches and cream when you only have one income and then you have, you know, a child that has special needs. I'm saying the average person is
Well, you
not.
know what?
Mhm.
Go ahead. It was very costly for me to continue to work and have the expensive expenditures that I had to put him in daycare and other things that he needed. So that took about half of my salary just trying to work and take care of him. So it's more costly for me to work and to take care of him and provide for him than it was for me to just stay at home.
You have a light that's shining on you that I'm looking at you on Facebook and we can barely see you because of the light.
So like, let me move. Hold on a second.
Oh, that's perfect. Well, no, we still have
Yeah,
this light. Okay.
I'm moving. Now can you see the light?
No, we can see you now.
Oh, cool.
Yep, we can see you now.
I'm multitasking as always. But I wasn't inferring it. It was very tight. But my son had needs, medical needs. He had needs that just took a lot of money out of our home. So it was just more cost efficient for me to stay at home.
But what do you tell that single parent that has four children and one has autism and the all the things that she has to do and she can't stay at home?
And you know what? That's why I'm working on some resources now because that is more common than you know. So we're working on resources trying to get policy changes where they can have some kind of supplemental income coming in, that the Social Security benefits won't be held up, that the state can be able to give them some type of thing, some type of benefit because it is costly and the child does need those resources. That's why I'm pushing for policy changes. because having a child with special needs is just like having someone that has, deficiencies that cannot work. So those children need that time with their parent. So I'm pushing that we can get some kind of stipend for the parents, health care for the parents, food benefits for the parents. And I think that is very important because I tell people it was very tight for me, but I got one time to be a good mom. And it took a lot of work, and I'm almost in tears because I just made that sacrifice, and it was not easy. That's why I'm pushing to make sure we get the right people in the seats to understand what needs to be done.
Okay, I have my little tissue here. You about to make me cry. I cried yesterday's show. I'm trying to hold these little lashes on, girl. But you are so right. You only get one time to be a good mom. That is profound. I mean, you don't get that time back at all. So you got to go for what you know. And I want to commend you. I'm doing like this. Girl, I put my bad hand up. Yes, shake it around. And I am so grateful for your journey. And I know that it hasn't been easy. You have allowed me to be a part of that journey, privately. And for that, I say thank you. And I hold that very near and dear to my heart. And so I had a front row seat in some of what you've had to experience and endure. And I tell you, I take my hat off. If I had some her, girl, I'd flip it around for you for the work
Let
that
me
you.
just say this. It was a lot of times that we didn't have essential things, but my mom always cooked extra meals, which made it a little bit easier for me. If she saw something on sale, she would grab it for us. I just had friends that chipped in and saw the struggle I had. But it was very important for me to make sure because not everybody's going to treat your child the way you want them to be treated, especially when you have a non-verbal child. So I just made the sacrifice, and it was no way easy. That's why I'm fighting right now so hard to make sure we have legislation and policies in place for parents of kids living with disabilities because we need that. And that's why I'm looking at the race closely to see what their stands are on different mental health, military education, because that's very important in raising a child in today's society.
You are so right. You are so right. It's about 13 minutes after the hour, and we want to say thank you so much for tuning into Rolling on the Road to Victory. Today, we are in the Big D, talking about the Get Out the Vote in Detroit with Dr. VerTongie. We are just so excited. She is one of our top viewers. There is no way that with all of the work that she has done within the community of Detroit, that I could not have her. Y'all got that? Could not. So that means two negatives is a positive when we're talking about math. There's no way that I could not have had her on during this time. The 12 shows to Get Out the Vote. We even have a show on Monday. I mean, we're going all the way through, just not doing Saturday or Sunday, but hearing from grassroots, grass tops, from those folks who have to live out the decisions that get made for them. And time, if no other time, if you are in a swing state, there are 7 of them, especially the state of Michigan, we are going to be the ones who will decide who becomes our president. And we have one, that knows about the middle class. And that's what we really need, uh, somebody to pay attention,
Right.
to really pay attention and to support bipartisanship, ideas, laws, mm, policies, procedures, and they're going to stop and take the time to say, you know what, let's do what's best for the people, not what's going to line our pockets, not what's going to help our friends. And maybe your friends are going to get helped along the way, but who's going to come alongside of us and say, yup, I believe in what you believe, and we're going to get this done. I think the best that I saw was this past, what's today? Oh my gosh, today's only Wednesday. So it was on
Yeah.
Monday. It was on Monday to be able to see a Democrat and a Republican come together, campaign together, and talk about the issues. I came home and I cried. I wasn't gonna cry in front of all them. It was like 1,000 and some people. I wasn't crying in front of them. I was trying to keep my composure. But I came home and I cried because as someone who has served their country, it's so important. It's important that we have the right folks, because if we're pledging our loyalty to them, especially, your president is your commander in chief.
Absolutely.
If you're in the military, so I need a good commander in chief that's going to give me some great orders, that's going to bring order and not create chaos. What's your thoughts about that, Doctor?
Me being a military mom, I'm not saying it's more important than my son that has disabilities, but just being a military mom, I'm afraid now. I want to
Oh
make sure
yes.
that my son, he has the right person in place, that's going to take into consideration these young men. They're giving their life, they're loyal to the United States of America. So that's very important to me, because going into the service is something that I value and I think is needed. But at the same time, I want to make sure they are receiving the service that they need and the resources that they need, and that they're being considered valuable to the United States of America, and that's not overlooked.
You know, several things that happen while you're in is, if the president decides that we need to go to war, or that, let's say, they want to shore up. They were talking about building a wall at one point, and now they're making a big deal about the border. They're going to send U.S. troops to help handle that. So we want somebody who's going to be level-headed and not rush to be aggressive, assertive, and create a war over something that's easy to do with a conversation. Because your son will be out there. And if he's got to fight, let it be a fight for our freedom and not for petty stuff.
I guess that's something that I consider, and I take, that's something I consider dearly to my heart, because I have two things on the table that I'm fighting for: military and disabilities. And I'm also, as an educator, making sure that I have a retirement when it's time for me to retire. So those are issues in real life that is very dear to me. Being an educator for umpteen years, then coming out, I want to make sure I have retirement Social Security benefits. Being a mother of a son with disabilities, I want to make sure he has the right resources. Then being a military mom, I want to make sure my son has what he needs while he's in the military. So these are very key issues to me. That's why I look at policies and procedures, not so much the party, but making sure they're standing on what I stand on.
Okay, can you educate the folks how you're educating yourself to find out who is the right candidate based off of what your needs are?
I look at past practices. I look
Mm,
at how they handle mental health, how they have handled it, and I listen at their interviews to see the stance that they're taking. That's very important. So I look at their track record. Then I do my own research to make sure they did what they said they were going to do in prior offices. And I also look to make sure that they have a proven track record. Then I make sure to look to see that they're dedicated to the people that's voting them in office. And you can tell that by the way that they crisscross the country. And if they're sincere when you meet them or see them in action, it shows. It does show. And
Oh
then
yeah.
I also not just look at the candidates, but I look at that cabinet that they're going to have behind them because that's very key too. Have looked at the vice president to see what their stands on both sides. I've looked at people that say they're campaigning for them, that's working close with them to see what their stances are on education, mental health, military, social security benefits, and real life situations. I want to make sure these people that we're putting in office understands there is still a middle class and a lower class that needs to be taken care of. That kind of runs the country. You know, our middle class people, we're hardworking people, so if we didn't have the janitors, the teachers, the doctors, the nurses, they still get those higher up people to do their, the benefits that they need. We always need janitors, we always need teachers, we also need postal workers. So those are our middle class that we need to make sure that they're going to be taken care of. Because without each of us, we all play a significant part to the economy in the United States of America. That's just my
Look,
stance on it. And I look to see um, how they handle questions and issues, and how well they stand up to pressure. Pressure. So we have to pay attention, and we have to. In this election, this is not a pre-test, a mock test. This is your final exam.
mm, you are hitting it the nail on the head. I mean, you didn't put a whole wall up in this political house. I'm telling you. How have you been sharing the information that you find with others around you to get them to vote?
You know what? I'm looking at even school board candidates are very important to me. I'm looking at their track record. So I've been doing conversations with Hezekiah kids, conversations with parents, people in my community, people in my church, because people in your church take the information back to the community. And I
Oh,
belong to my community in my district. I talk to them at community meetings because this is very important to us. We have to make sure we're doing our research. We have to make sure that we're doing our research and that we're being prayerful about who we put in office, because this is not a practice exam. This is our final exam. We need to make sure, because the next 4 years we have to make sure that we can live in the next 4 years comfortable as possible, and that our life is not interrupted.
you hit it right, man. You were smacking that nail, smacking it, smacking it, smacking it. There are very few people that I've had an opportunity to speak with that are as politically fluid as you are. One of the big things that I hear, well, I'm not political, but if you don't have any more Social Security, you gonna say, "Ooh, well, maybe I might start paying attention." And how do you think that people are defining politics when they say, "Well, I'm not political. I don't do all that. I'm not voting because I'm just not political." You there?
Listen to what you're saying, and I'm taking it in. So and I'm also telling people they need to read that 2025 project
Yes, that Project
and
20.
research that, because that's going to be very key to us as educators, as parents, as retirees, as whatever our ordinary lives. That's going to be very important to us.
Hmm.
So I tell people, do your research. Don't just go on what somebody told you. Make sure what you're researching is going to benefit your life and what you need.
Yeah, our guest I want to say last Wednesday. I mean, I have just so many nuggets that I've been able to take away that I really want to be able to share at the end of this, because you're going to need it, because in 2 years, we have midterm elections, and you're going to elect those folks. Your midterm elections are really the ones who take care of your everyday life. And what that viewer said was, or guest, he said, who best resembles your everyday life? Which candidate It's speaking to how you live daily, not how things could be, how or this fake reality. But at the end of the day, look at the reality of your life, and is what they're saying matching your reality? And that's, I'm hearing you say the same thing, is that you got to do your due diligence, and is what they're saying matching your reality?
Those are key things because I tell people bills don't get passed unless the House vote on them. So who
Yep.
is in our house is just as important as who's sitting as the president. So we should be researching every person that we vote yes for. We should be researching every proposal to see how this is going to affect our daily lives. And I tell people we shouldn't pass up any elections or our rights or exercising our right to vote. Every election is important. Every school board member that you put in place is important. Every judge that you put in place is important. Those elections, those key people, they help hold everything together. So that midterm election is very important to us because bills
Okay.
cannot get passed without their votes. So I research everybody to make sure they are taking a stance on the concerns and issues that I have as a middle class mom, educator, disability mom, even a spouse living with a disability. And then my parents are older. So I want to make sure that they have what they need in place. This, I tell people these are not mock elections. Do your research, study. This is very important to us. I don't take this lightly. My son Hezekiah, he's already researching candidates because he want to make sure that they have his best interests. And then he's concerned about his brother who's in the military.
Does he get to vote this year?
Yes, he votes, and I asked him if he wants to do early. He's a precinct delegate, so he's been telling people about their rights to vote. He's also telling people if they need something at the poll to make sure they go and tell the poll workers. Because he told me, he said his out of his mouth, Mama, some things I didn't receive justice on. And I want to make sure we have people at the top that understand that we still need these justices to be done. Which really, really, really took me back to hear him say that of the mother. I didn't think he paid attention.
Wow.
And I'm
And
being honest.
and
He's a
mind y'all,
precinct delegate. So he stands up. He wants to meet the people.
and him being a precinct delegate, what does that say to you? There were some things that were said to you concerning your son. You remember that?
Yes.
And him being a precinct delegate, have you sent that back to the system for them to know?
Yes.
And
He
what was
gets up and speaks. He speaks. Jack, our city clerk, she's aware that we have a disabled young man that's a precinct delegate.
you are changing our legacy, our history again? I take my hat off to you. I really do. I take my hat off to you. I admire you to the fullest. And I tell you that all the time, that I am so godly proud of you. When I get your text and your messages and you send things to me, I just sit there, man, sometimes I just cry. I just cry. I'm just that happy. And to know that what you're doing is making a difference. And I pray for you all the time, always praying.
Let me say something, Dr. Barrington. I didn't start this journey to be famous, to be known. This is real life. My son is 19 years old. His mother is 53. He has brothers, but I want to make sure that he can stand up for himself. I have a son in the military who's 23. This, you have to make sure we have things in place. My son, he watches people, and he knows what candidates just want to take a picture with him to say that he's a disabled child and he's out and about. And then he knows those people that are sincere. Because he told one person, I don't want to take a picture with you because you didn't speak to me when I spoke to you. So he said, Mama, and I got on him. He said, Mama, but that was important to me. And then my mom, who walks on a cane, sometimes when he went to vote with her and he was 16 years old, he said, Mama, the lady was nasty to grandma. And she told me I couldn't go over there because she was voting. And I told the lady that my grandma need help and I'm going to go there with her. And I said, you don't talk to an adult like that. He said, but Mom, I have autism. She could have not said the right thing to me. And I could have left the voting precinct and not voted because I was frustrated. That right there stood out to me. That right there really stood out to me. And he told me, he said, Mom, I'm not trying to be a precinct to be famous. I want to make sure people with disabilities have the same equal rights to make sure we get the right people in place. He said, because Mama, if they think we don't understand, but we understand. And if they're not in the House to pass the legislation and the laws that we need to pass, I could be on the street.
That is so true. That is so true. So true.
So when you see me out and about, I'm not out to make Hezekiah Kids a big name. I'm out because there's some parent out here because I struggled. I made it look easy, but it was hard. So I don't want any other parent to go through not having the right resources, not knowing the guidance. So I turned my struggle into my strength to help other people. So this is why these elections are very dear and true to my heart. This is why the work that I'm doing, trying to educate people to educate themselves so that they can do the right thing in the community. This is really real life to me because I struggled as a mother with a son that was nonverbal, a runner, and had autism. That was hard. It was hard for me to have to step away from my job to take care of him. There are a lot of people out here that don't have the resources or the support system. So I created a support system. Hey, let's have special needs parents come together and we talk about everything. So I'm doing this to make sure we have a strong system in place and that people are being elected actually care about the concerns that citizens have. I mean, people may think I'm gloating on my son having autism. That's a concern because I see the in numbers of autism is increasing along with other disabilities. I want to make sure we have somebody in place that gives these people the right resources because I struggled and it was a rough road. This is why this is not a joke to me. I need to make sure the people reelecting know that these are concerns that we have. My dad is a disabled veteran. I want to make sure he has what he needs. My son is in the military. I want to make sure that he has what he needs. My mother's a senior citizen now. I want to make sure that they have what they need. And not just my family because I'm out and about. I want to make sure society have what they need to be functional and to keep going and to be motivated to keep going. I know that's a lot, Dr. Barrington, but I'm very passionate about this work. And I have told people if you don't want to read the whole 2020-25 project, research it, Google it, pull out what you need.
Never, ever have I thought that you did anything to be in the limelight or for fame or to get recognition. I saw your struggle. I saw who you were as a mom, and you know that.
Right.
You know that. I've always seen you the person. And so I value your experiences. I value what you have to say. I value the relationship, and we still need to say job well done one to another because it can be weary out here doing the work that has to be done, because a lot of times people wait for somebody else to do it instead of them doing it. It happens to them. Oh well. But we'll let somebody else do it, or maybe it might fix itself. No, it doesn't fix itself. It takes somebody that has a righteous indignation to say, you know what, I want it to be different, and it's going to be different, and not on my watch will any of this happen. Mm-mm. As my grandmama say, you know, the world going to hell in a handbasket. Well, you know what? There's some folks that's got some rods that can pull them baskets back up out of hell and say, look, not today, not on my watch.
You know, Dr. Barrington, me and my business partner, Dice Clark, we did an event September 28th. And just when I was about to give up, I met some parents. One parent came over to me in tears and she said, Dr. Bailey, I can't do this anymore. I said, Mom, I used to be afraid to take my baby anywhere because he ran and he didn't speak. I said, so I always wear gym shoes. I didn't wear heels. I always wear gym shoes because I never knew when I had to run. I said, it's going to be hard. I said, so the Hezekiah you see today is not the Hezekiah that it was.
Oh, yeah.
It took work. And I created a village. I said, this is the reason we having these events, because I bring the resources to the parents. I have every vendor there from ABA therapy. I have medical vendors, insurance vendors, home care, um, counselors there, therapists there, and his social worker, Mary Way, she even came to help the parents, to support them, volunteered her time to explain to parents the IEP process. I had a school counselor come, that's a special ed counselor, to talk with the parents, to say it's hard work, but we can get there. I had a couple political figures come out to talk to the parents. I said, pay attention to who's in the room. These are the people that's going to make the laws. They're going to make it easy for our life. I said, pay attention to who didn't come. Pay attention to who's talking to you. Pay attention to who's taking the notes about your concern. These are the people that you really want to vote for, to make sure that they are on board with you. I said, because my struggle became my strength to help you. So me and my business partner, we pay a lot of this out of our own pockets, which we don't have because we have families. But it's very important that I make sure these resources are all in one room, that you can talk to other parents. Because sometimes parents will not reach out for the resources because they don't know how. And what I learned, and this is why I'm fighting so hard, if I don't know to ask Dr. Barrington a question, you can't read my mind to give me an answer. And sometimes we don't always have, because I was an educated mom, I didn't always have the right verbiage to ask the question. But I had to learn, okay, maybe my tone is a little, and you have gotten on me. VerTongie, that's not the way you said it. This is the way because I'm in my feelings.
Mm-hmm.
But you kept me calm. You said, okay, we want to get this resolved, but that wasn't the way to do it, sweetie. So it's not just me. And I was on a calm level. I see a lot of parents. So if you thought I was hyped that day, I meet a lot of parents that's on 1,000 because we're very passionate about our kids, and people are not giving you the information. If you said one word wrong, okay, that we don't have that service. You laughing, but you keep me straight. You inspire me to do more.
But I'm telling you, you know, you have to tell them, but you knew what I meant. Don't play with me. Talking about, and there is a way to get with people and let them know where you're coming from. It is.
So I want to be what you've taught me, Dr. Barrington. You have no idea how much you have helped me. You have no idea. When my tongue went right trying to get resources for my baby, VerTongie, and my feelings would be hurt. I said, she know I'm hurt, but that wasn't the tone to do it, and that wasn't the verbiage to use. People don't have people like you in their life. That's why I'm doing this, because you tell me there's a right way to do it and the wrong way to do it. You did that wrong. So now I know, okay, let me just calm down. So I'm teaching other parents, just calm down, do your research, and then ask the questions. Because a lot of people don't know that. They do not know that. I didn't know that. And I'll be very transparent from that.
But
Meeting you, I have learned a lot.
You brought somebody else in the room with you. And that's important. And I think that if we have these conversations, that you bring somebody else in the room with you, so maybe they can hear what you don't hear, they can probably see what you don't see, and then you can go back and have that conversation. Hey, you know what, we need to go back in the corner and regroup. We need to go back and regroup. You know, this is what I heard and what I saw. What did you hear and see? And this is how we're able to move forward, because once we do that, then we know. I love how you tell people, look at who's in the room, also look at who is not in the room, look at who never shows up. That's important, because you can't come around to us in our communities, and your son was absolutely right to want to refuse the picture. You know, oh no, you didn't want to speak to me until it was time. Tell him, I understand that. I understand it, because people will walk past me in this wheelchair, but then, oh, it's photo time, or they'll see that, oh, the governor knows her or the lieutenant governor knows her. Then all of a sudden, all these other, you know, senators or state reps want to come over and speak. No, I'm just like him. Talk to the hand, but I find a very polite way to just roll away, because you saw me when you came in, and I came up to you, I spoke, and or you acted like I didn't exist. So that is a good thing that your son notices that, because it's something I live with every day. And I am so glad that at 19 years old, he doesn't have to, be almost 60 before he has enough personal courage and bravery to stand up for himself. And he gets that from you. You have done an excellent job, that he is able, because with autism, it's almost difficult for them to understand, those small nuances, how people may say something, their tone, their tenor, um, their body language. They don't always necessarily know how to read it, but your son has it down pat. He does. He has an emotional intelligence that, I tell you, you wouldn't even know he has a disability at times, with the emotional intelligence that he has.
And you know what he's been advocating for is that we're not in the disability community making sure that the kids know that they have a right to vote. Because he has a friend, he said, Mom, my friend is in a wheelchair, but he knows who he wants in office. He said, we're not reaching out to the parents to let them know that their kids have a right to vote. And he said, we know what we want in office because we do our research on our cell phones and our tablets. I said, okay, you researching people? He said, yeah, Mama. I want to see if they're going to do what they said they're going to do. He said, but nobody comes around to the special ed classrooms to recruit them to vote.
Well, that's something that we're going to have to work on for the midterm election. We're going to make sure that happens. But I have said that to a lot of the candidates, that you're not speaking to those parents or those individuals that have the disability. And I said, there are 10 million people in the state of Michigan. Currently, according to Social Security, there are about 2.3 million persons, and that's just adults. That is not children at all. It's like 2.3 million people who have active cases, consider themselves disabled. If you add just one person to that 2.3 million folks, that puts you at over 4 million people, which is more than 2/3 of the people here in Michigan that can vote. Then if you start adding on the children that have disabilities, and you add on them having at least one parent, now we are well over 5 or 6 million people out of the 10 million people that are in the state of Michigan. So it only makes sense that you start courting, making sense, writing bills, changing policies, making sure laws, are centered around those families. And even looking at the, some of the baby boomers are falling off, but that next generation that's coming up, they now become, you fall into that category of disability based off of your age, just life changes within the body without even having to claim and say, hey, look, I just had a stroke, or I had a heart attack, or I have a neurological, or I have a mental issue. Everybody has some sort of dis, because there are 1,683 words that begin with the prefix dis, and people experience 2 to 5 of them every single day. So that means that you can experience something that I may be experiencing, even though it may not be physical, but mentally and emotionally, we're experiencing some of the same things. So, yep, you're right. You're going to have to look at those politicians. Where do you stand when it comes to mental health? To making sure that, hey, if you have been diagnosed with cancer, you are eligible to receive disability pay. And now you're part of the DIS community, and you're going to need some mental health to deal with those changes in your life. So the skills that, you are sharing with those parents, everybody needs them. And I thank you for turning your struggle into a strength. I'm clapping, 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 clapping.
I guess, you know what, Dr. Barrington, you just have no idea how much you encouraged me. Because I remember when I met you, he was like, okay, yeah, your baby got autism, but we're going to live with this. And he'll be all right.
And
I was like, she just don't know. You did not allow me to have that pity party.
Because look at where he is now. And look at what he's doing. A precinct delegate, he would have never been that had you stayed in that emotional state, because you wouldn't have pushed him.
Now, he wanted to be there on his own.
He didn't do it on his own, baby. Let me tell you something. Children watch what we do more so than what we say. Where we take them, who we expose them to, they pay attention. You've always exposed him to the right folks. You've taken him to the best places. He's listened to the conversations. The Bible says it takes one to plant a seed. You planted a bunch of seeds. And then it says another will water. You watered those seeds, and the places that you took him continued to water those seeds. And then God came in and gave the increase. God touched his mind for him to have this above and beyond emotional intelligence for him to want to do what it is that he does, even down to his jewelry business. That speaks volumes. But he didn't pick it out of the air. It was the atmosphere that you set that let him know. Hey, Dice, he said, what up, Doc ladies? What's up, Dice? Thanks for jumping on. Your girl is killing it on here. She's killing it. We give big shout out to Mr. Dice Clark over there in the Big D. You guys have been doing some amazing, amazing work in the 4 years that I have known the two of you. I can't wait till it's going to be my turn where we could do something together. I'm just waiting patiently that, we get an opportunity to do something. But a prophet is without honor in their own country. Oh, you welcome, Dice. It's without honor in their own country. And so I feel like we're in the same country together. And I am going to always honor you. Oh, Mother Josie Bell has tuned in. Mother, we love you and we appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you to life. I do. I love that to life. Love her to life. She says, um Dice says, I'm proud of my partner, Dr. VerTongie Kendricks. Are you smiling?
He really helped me a lot. That I tell you, he has my back on everything. He has my back on everything. So I'm very thankful to him. And he knows it. I may be getting on his nerves, but he knows it. We support each other so well. People tell me that me and him we work very well in the community.
You do.
And I think he pushed you. You threw me out there, and he pushed me. He said, "You have too many gifts and talents to be sitting back here. Want to stay in the back row."
That's so true.
But I like
That's
it in the back.
yeah, but we need you out front. We need your voice. We need your wisdom. We need your compassion. Need that energy, that perseverance. Dice said, most definitely. Yep. Need it all. Need that smile. I want to say thank you to Secrest Hallman for tuning in. I appreciate you. Thank you for the love. Thank you to Autumn Hartpence. Thank you for your love. I appreciate you. And thank you for your encouragement on today, Autumn. See, I needed it. I appreciate it. And I appreciate your kind words as well, Doctor. And congratulations on receiving and earning that degree. Lord knows. I say all the time, see all them books back there? Y'all can see I said all of that is real. That's not a background. That is my home.
Mm-hmm.
And had to read them books to get that degree. So anybody who wants to endeavor to do it, I tell them, okay, do you know what it takes?
Mm-hmm.
I just read someone's plan, and I'm always honored when a doctoral candidate asks me to review their plan for their dissertation and give the overview and the feedback. That is such a great honor to me. Of all the things that I do, that is something that I love the most is going through folks' dissertations and their plan and giving them notes and feedback when it comes to defending the dissertation. So any final thing that you want to say, and it's really not final because we're going to continue to keep having the conversation. You're going to keep coming back, and but what do you want to say to the
What I
people?
would want to say to everyone is ability is in a disability. Make sure that we're including everybody when we go to the polls because they have done their research. They know what it takes and what is needed to move the country forward for children and young adults living with disabilities. They know what it takes to move the country forward for parents that have children in the military, spouses, wives, husband, boyfriends, grandparents. So we know what it takes to keep us moving. Let's get up and make sure on November 5th that we vote. This is not a mock test. This is not a mock election. This is real life. Please get up and do your service to the country because there is no repeat. And make sure you have studied the candidates and that they have real life situations. Please go vote. Exercise your right. Take someone with you.
Well said. I'm going to see you guys here tomorrow when our guest is going to be Ed Layard, who has been working tirelessly in this community. He's a veteran and trying to get some things done for the veterans within our community. So if you're a vet, tune in. If you are related, a spouse, a cousin, a friend, the babysitter, you guys spread the word, spread the news. He'll be here on tomorrow. And then on Friday, we're going to have a word from the first vice president of the NAACP here in the Greater Grand Rapids. On Monday, we'll have Miss Whitaker. She's going to talk about reproductive rights. She's the director here for the state of Michigan. And then we will culminate on Tuesday with the police captain, Kathy Williams, to talk about how they have plans in place to keep us safe during this election. So we've got a next few days is going to be packed, and we're going to get out the vote, and we're going to make a difference. And I will see you guys on tomorrow. Love you. Appreciate you. Don't forget to get your flu shot and your COVID shot. Get those vaccines and stay well.